USCFootball.com. I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of the Todd McNair trial versus the NCAA. This is day one from the trial. We're reporting outside the courthouse. It was a pretty low-key day overall because it's jury selection time. We're not sure how long the jury selection will go, but we can imagine it will be pretty hard to try and select all those jurors. But overall, today was kind of low-key, just jury selection.
Yeah, and it's in a fifth-room courtroom of the Stanley Mosque building behind us, and Department 46, which is where I think the original Judge Schaller ruling came down in 2012 that pretty much got this thing really going. And because it's a relatively small courtroom, once they brought the jury pool in, some 50 were guesstimating. There wasn't room for anybody else in the courtroom. So for today, as they get through the rest of jury selection today and tomorrow morning, the question, I guess, is do they finish it tomorrow morning and do they start opening arguments tomorrow afternoon, or does that not happen until Friday? That's something we don't know, and they don't know. And so we're kind of just flying blind as far as, because that's when the real trial starts, obviously, and we don't know when that's going to be, whether that'll be tomorrow. Because if you want to really get a sense of where this thing is going, you want to be there for the opening arguments. So could be tomorrow afternoon, could be Friday morning. It sounds like those are our best guesses.
As you mentioned, it was an interesting setup. The courtroom's pretty small. It was pretty packed. Todd McNair was there. Couldn't even bring his whole family just because it was that small. Even argued about how many lawyers each counsel can have at the desk. So it's an interesting setup where the courtroom actually is.
Yeah, I don't was arguing. It was just kind of this is the way it is. This is the reality. I mean, because I know we heard them talk about. Can I have my jury consultant sit up here with the attorneys, and could they have 3 people or 4 people, and could you block the aisles, and there's a lot of they were talking about, do you move the podium, where we do. One good piece of news is Keely will be the at this point the pool photographer. So they can only have one at a time, and so right now that's the way it's going in this trial. But they really are cramped, and they're not allowed to block any aisles. Not allowed to, in terms of the video, for example, show the jurors. A lot of issues that a small, courtroom maybe make a little worse. Eventually, you should be able to hear everybody. It was tougher today because the lawyers were standing in front, kind of behind the tables where the lawyers are going to be sitting. And so you were it was like watching practice some days when the team stands in front of you and you're trying to lean around to see what exactly did Judge Schaller say there, because there was a lot of housekeeping discussions about, did they get the number right on one particular document, and he had to go back and check his document file, and he came back and said something to the effect of, I think I've read about 3,000 of these now, and he said, a good thing I took my Evelyn Wood course, and then he realized somebody like Keely might not remember who Evelyn Wood was, the famous speed reading person that advertised a lot on television. So Judge Schaller noted that he's glad he's a speed reader to get up to, because there's a lot of documents. When you see the attorneys come in, which is boxes and boxes, and there's piled up, in front of the judge and all that, there are a lot of documents in this case.
Like Dan said, it's good news that we will be able to film. We're still working out the specifics, whether we can live tweet during the case, whether we can publish things. So that's kind of getting worked out, but we will be able to film the opening arguments, statements, so you'll be able to check that out later. As far as the opening statements go, what are you expecting for those?
I don't know. I think this is kind of like scouting a football game, and what are you going to open with? And like an opener where you're not sure has somebody been holding something back or whatever. I don't think it'll be interesting. I don't know that the NCAA can change their game plan all that much, and maybe I think with Todd's case, I think they want to let the jury know right away how this could have happened and how, say, a national organization like the NCAA could have done what the, what Todd's, attorneys say was done to him and why. And so I think they've got to figure out, how to get there fairly quickly in terms of who their witness list is and all that. And I'm thinking, that both sides have a game plan, not unlike two college football teams in the opener. And, I think the NCAA is obviously playing defense here. And it's going to be interesting. I think the opening arguments will tell us an awful lot about what direction they've gone. They've got an agreed upon witness list and all of that. And I guess from what you understand, maybe the same witnesses might really work for both sides. I'm guessing because, the NCAA might want somebody to, say who was involved, let's say. What really happened, blah, blah, blah. And then Todd's people will say, no, that's not how that went down. You're just guessing at this point. But I think it's going to be really, really, really interesting.
For sure. So like we said, today was more housekeeping, jury selection, so no real news to come out. We will have that soon later on, probably this week, if the trial actually begins soon. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Well, I think they're going to go, the general schedule is going to be 9, start at 9 and finish at 4. And he said, if somebody's on the witness stand that they can go till 4:30, but the general, they take basically, the noon hour off for lunch or noon to 1:30, whatever. And then, so kind of standard hours. And I thought it was very low-key, very informal, very much friendly. I mean, the attorneys and all that, and everybody seemed to agree on everything pretty much. So, and for those, who aren't around these things, I don't think we even understand like how this all works. But these people are here every day doing it. It's a whole different, a different way of approaching it. I will say this, that the PR person, Liz Martinez, has been really cooperative, really helpful, and in terms of getting it done, for us. And I don't know that they have a lot of trials that they do have, media requests and all that, but been really good to work with.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, if you base your understanding of court or the legal process off of films or TV, you might have been surprised coming in here today and seeing how casual it actually was.
Yeah, and I think housekeeping is a good word for now. It may not be that casual once they get started. I don't, Bruce Broylett, Todd's attorney, is as good a attorney as there is. One of the kind of super lawyers, and there are a lot of people who will tell you he's the best trial attorney in California, and a guy who's been in all sorts of really big deal cases, against the likes of Ford and General Motors and state of California, city of Los Angeles. He's used to being in big cases, so this is another one.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's going to wrap it up from downtown Los Angeles. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.